Okay, so that
Oh,
I
it's
think
a
it's
fast track.
sector 2 or 3 has a bunch of high speed and medium speed corners, the blue area. But if you start from the yellow where it starts at number 15, 15, 14, 13, 12, all the way to 4, that's going to be hard on tires. It's like to me, it's not S's, but it's like a extended S. It's like S's and
Yeah,
C's. That
very
area is going to
tricky.
be,
So
but it's
Very
medium
tricky.
speed and high speed, and it's going to put a lot of wear on the tires, and that's going to affect Ferrari. And with respect to McLaren, so McLaren has a car that's better made for this track. Ferrari has more one lap pace. Ferrari should do well in the qualifiers. But if you look at that track, it's going to lend itself to McLaren, which has better balance. But then McLaren doesn't have water in their tires anymore, so as usual, it's going to be McLaren and Ferrari versus versus Verstappen. Verstappen should come somewhere in the top 3. What do you think, Larato?
yeah, yeah. I assume we're looking at very much the same thing. I don't think it will be cool enough for Mercedes to have their anomalous
Yeah, I didn't even bother mentioning Mercedes. They'll be nowhere this week. Go ahead. Yeah,
top five finish. Yeah, no, I'm
yeah,
just thinking about because we didn't think about them at all last week.
yeah. But the
Uh,
weather that was the cold. We didn't take
but
into
yeah,
account the weather.
we had not taken into account that it was going to be a cold race.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so yeah, I mean, I think we're looking at the focus is going to be on how well Ferrari does against McLaren or vice
Hmm.
versa. Looking at the constructor standings, with I think just about 25 points between the two of them.
Hmm.
Um, so that's going to be an
To
interesting
me,
dynamic
I'm predicting
to
that
look at.
Ferrari will win the constructors because Piastri is nowhere. Norris is what's the word? Not dilapidated. He's demoralized. He's demoralized and dilapidated. I think the morale of the Ferrari is hungry. Leclerc is angry. Sainz is angry. They're hungry. And my prediction is that they're going to get more points. It's going to come close, but they're going to win the constructors maybe by 2 or 3 points. What do you think, Lorenzo? Then we'll go to Kunle.
Yeah. No, I do think Ferrari are a lot hungrier,
Mm-hmm.
uh, given how furiously they raced at Las Vegas, in spite of the
Mm-hmm.
fact that, I mean, all that they were doing was they got the most points that they could get from the race, given the
Yeah.
pace that they had,
Mm-hmm.
um, but they still had this disagreement of who should get that podium position and
Yeah,
things
we're
like
going to
that.
talk about that. But I'll tell you this.
Yeah,
When I said this a couple of weeks ago, nobody wanted to listen to me. Remember when I said that Leclerc can beat Norris for the driver's title? I mean, for coming second. Norris is worried about Verstappen,
sure.
but
Yeah,
Leclerc
and
can get it, and that's why Leclerc is mad.
yeah.
He wants those points, man. He wants those points
Because
so he can get his bonuses and stuff.
he can get his silver position in the
Hmm.
championship.
Also, I think he's just
Um,
frustrated. It's his fault. Leclerc should be the number 1 driver in Ferrari. It's very embarrassing to be outdriven by the person who's leaving. That people say you're better than them, but Sainz is better than Leclerc. To be honest with you, that's what I think.
yeah. So
Hmm.
so I think, yeah, Ferrari should come out looking good because
Hmm.
they've been pretty stable. They've been, I think, pretty much in the top five in most of the previous
Yeah,
races.
they'll be fine. Yeah.
So they'll be cool. And then of course, in spite of the championship being clinched, we expect Max to still be Max.
But yeah,
Um,
Max, he never lets down his guard. We'll talk about
yeah,
that
sure.
later. And that's my biggest problem with Hamilton. Hamilton selects when he wants to try. You have to try every time, even when you're pissed off. Anyway, so Kunle, what are your thoughts about the track and about this predictions for this weekend before we go on to talk about other stuff?
Yeah, so I was actually thinking that isn't it winter time in the Middle East around this time of the year, the temperature drops. But I actually looked at Qatar, and I think Qatar's weather is transitional, so it's
The track will be warm,
tolerantly
warm enough. Yeah.
warm, tolerantly warm. Now, Mercedes do not actually know categorically why their car was so fast. We assume it was because of the cold weather,
Sorry
But
to cut you in front. To me, there's only one answer: is the weather. This is the
no,
ground
but
effect area. People don't realize how important weather is. That's the only variable. Ferrari was graining. Graining happens when you can't warm up properly. That's
yeah,
cold weather.
well, Mercedes still said that they think it might be that, but they really can't tell.
I think this is what
And
I'm just speaking as a scientist. The only variable here is track temperature. My argument is that if that track had not been that cold, Mercedes would not have won. What do you think?
yeah,
They would not have won.
I hear you.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to say this that the team itself, their mechanics and the engineering team said they actually genuinely do not know, and they may have turned the corner. And if
To
they
be honest
have,
with you, I think they're incompetent. Um,
well,
all
I'll be
year,
surprised if they lose that much speed in just
let
one
me tell you
race.
how incompetent Mercedes is. All year, they said we don't know what our problem is. Lorato, am I wrong? All year, their problem has been
Yeah,
purposing, and
yeah.
they keep saying they don't know. You're getting, I'm sorry, they're getting paid millions of dollars. This is a science. No, these guys are stupid or they're lying. They know what their problem is. They didn't spend money when Matt Hamilton was winning and they were transitioning. They didn't spend money on research for porpoising and all that. And now Toto Wolff is trying to hide. They didn't do the research. They said, "Oh, we have Hamilton. Nothing can ever happen to us." They never thought that Verstappen would beat them in 2021. They didn't spend money on ground effects, and they just don't know what's going on. What do you think, Lorato? Yeah, I mean, this
Yeah,
is
I think
simple. It goes back to that thing. Nobody's talking about it. Like you said, Lorato. Last year they chose the push pin or whatever. They chose the wrong direction to go for ground forces error,
or
and now they're saying they don't.
in terms of the suspension.
Suspension, yeah. And all year they've been
Yeah.
having problems. Hamilton said this car feels like wood. So to me, it's very simple. They don't have good suspension. They don't have anything. They have a problem with overheating, and it's perfect for on cold tracks, which is why they won in Canada, Silverstone, and Russell. What's his name? Yeah, Russell did well in Brazil when it's raining. To me, it's clear. There's no other answer. It's also that, and then maybe they have something where they're cheating because they've shown camera of George Russell and Hamilton pushing something up and down on this track in what you call it in the track
In
and
Vegas.
so maybe they're lying. These guys were it looks like they were cheating at that track. What do you think, Kunle? Then we'll go to Lorato. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like I said before, I
Yeah.
can't be, we can't, I won't say categorically, that's our suspicion, but I won't say categorically because the speed, the raw speed they got, I'll be surprised if they lost all of that in Qatar. But I want to move on from
Okay,
Mercedes.
hold on. Let
Look
me
at
say it
the
again. They
other
have raw
cars.
speed because they had grip, because their tires warm up better, and it's on a cold track, and they hit a sweet spot, which is why they were faster. Now, Ferrari was graining. That's what happens when you can't warm up your tires cool enough and it's cold. Am I wrong, Lorato?
No, no, no.
Yeah, so Kunle,
Grip
what I'm
is more
saying is
for
that it's
cornering than for the
very obvious.
straight. The
It's
straight is
very
raw
obvious, Kunle.
power.
This is classical science. The other teams have power, but they can't utilize it because the track is too cold and their tires can't match the track. Fortunately for for not Ferrari, Mercedes, their tires overheat, and on a cold track, that's perfect. That's the only reason they're winning this week, and they're going to go back
That's
to
your
what they were before.
suspicion. But I would just think, I would
Oh yeah, but
just,
it's a
one, I was
suspicion, but
just
we've seen the
curious,
pattern, and I think
you
that
know.
for our Formula One is disingenuous. They want to make it like it's a mystery so that they can sell videos. Every time there's a cold track, Mercedes wins. Every time. Yeah, go ahead, Kunle. Go on. Yeah.
Yes, leaving Mercedes aside, look at the
Yeah.
other cars.
Yeah.
I was rather disappointed at McLaren's offering. They were shockingly behind everyone else in that last race. They didn't really compete.
Hmm.
Um, Verstappen did well with his Red Bull, which is I think he is the driver that is carrying that car. I don't think that car is up there because it's such a fast car.
Nah.
And I don't think that Red Bull's second partner, assuming that Verstappen stays there, the second partner for Red Bull, I believe, will struggle as Perez has struggled.
Yep.
I'm not also confident that Verstappen is winning next season. I think that it's going to be a fight between McLaren and the Ferraris. And possibly if Mercedes are able to figure out what's going on with their car, Russell is going to be a mighty
So
able
Kunle, look at
first
this. So look at this,
over
Kunle. You're gonna have these guys taking points from each other. Hamilton and Leclerc will take points from each other next year. That's the first thing. Then you're going to have McLaren's team, Piastri and Norris taking points from each other. Then you've got drivers who lack leadership skills. Neither Leclerc nor Hamilton have leadership skills. So what I'm saying is that Verstappen will still be in a sweet spot. He'll just be coming third, second, fourth, and he will push that car. And what
Which drivers do you
Verstappen
think have leadership skills?
have what?
Which drivers would you say have leadership skills?
Right now, Sainz and Verstappen. That's it. That's all I see. Sainz, Verstappen, and let's see who else. I'm trying to think. That's it. Who do you think, Lorato, on the grid right now?
Who has leadership skills?
Sainz and Verstappen, they're the only ones.
I don't see any of them really, but I mean,
no.
I was
Sainz
curious.
has it. Sainz has it. Sainz has been calling his
What
own
about
races.
Alonso?
Also, no, Russell too.
Russell
has
also,
leadership skills.
yeah. Sure.
Alonso doesn't have the lead. He doesn't have to show it because his car is so bad that it doesn't show out. But Russell takes leadership skills. Russell fights with his mechanics and tells them, I want soft tire. I want, for example, in this last race, Hamilton could have done a one-lap stop, a one-lap race if he wanted to, but he didn't. And he didn't shout. Sainz, they told Sainz to pit early. These fools. They told him to pit. Then when he was about to pit, they messed up. Then later on, he refused to take team orders when they asked him to let what's his name, Leclerc, to leave Leclerc alone. Last week, 2 weeks ago, Sainz won the race because he refused to go out on a pit stop when his team asked him. Remember that, Lorato? He didn't listen to his team. That's leadership. George Russell, leadership. Box me. I'm not ready. Now, Hamilton doesn't do it. Leclerc doesn't do it. Leclerc just whines. Leclerc should have continued driving when he thought that Sainz was going to pass him. Don't just leave it up to your team. You can't be naive in Formula One. We've seen how won so many championships. Schumacher and what's his name before that?
Before Schumacher was
Senna. These guys took matters into their own hands. Senna. We don't have leaders. Verstappen and it's funny, Verstappen doesn't need to be leader. What he does is he gets on the sim and he gives feedback to the drivers and they give to the mechanics and they give him what he wants. And he's matured as a driver. The way he's driving now is nothing compared to the way he drove in 2021 when he won. He keeps getting better and he does his work. The number one thing about leadership is to focus on your work. Ferrari doesn't have it. So what I'm saying is that next year, Ferrari and McLaren will have a faster car than Red Bull, but we can be sure Red Bull is going to be faster because they're going to put resources in there because what this guy Verstappen hates to lose and he will not accept losing. And also Verstappen has said he's not going anywhere till 2028. And if after that Red Bull doesn't have a car, he's leaving F1. To me, that's our champion. That's our champion.
I think also
so next year,
Gasly should have a better drive. Gasly is too good for the cars he drives.
Oh yeah, but we're talking about that, my point being, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but my point being,
he might do a dance to one of these teams. I would like to see him do a dance to a better team.
But my point being is that
his cars, I think he blows the engines out a lot. You know, I was saying it the last race before it started.
Yeah,
I think that he's too fast for the cars he's driving. I think that if he went to a top car, he could challenge for a championship.
Oh, you mean you're talking about Gasly? Yeah. So let me get back to the point we were making, though. So the point we were making is that next year I still have Verstappen as a favorite to win because there's going to be a lot of chaos. And also, earlier this year they said Verstappen is worth 0.2 of a second. I think now he's worth 0.4. That's how much better he's gotten this year. So what that means is that no matter who, even if you take the car into effect, Verstappen has a 0.4 advantage over any driver in the track per lap based on his speed deficit, regardless of car. You see what I'm talking about, Lorato, right? So what I'm saying is that as long as Red Bull is only a little bit behind Ferrari and Mercedes, I'm predicting that he will have a chance to win because these other teams don't have leadership and they're canceling each other out, which is why Ferrari should have kept Sainz.
McLaren is getting progressively stronger, though.
Who? Sainz.
McLaren. I think McLaren are going
to. No. McLaren they've already maxed out. They haven't been the last 3 weeks. Ferrari's been the fastest car in Formula One.
Yeah, McLaren that's a short-term problem. But in the long term,
everybody's caught up with them. Everybody's caught up with them, and also they stopped putting water in their tires. But we'll get back to that. McLaren was cheating too. All these teams cheat. But my thing is that McLaren they've reached the wall, and they haven't been working on their power, their speed. They've only been working on their balance. Ferrari has a more powerful powertrain and has caught up because they put the back wing. But let's go to Afolabi because we've gone on tangents today, which is okay. It's a good show. Yeah. I follow. What are your
Yeah,
thoughts
follow
on the
me.
track
Yeah.
before we
So
move to the next
like
topic?
you guys said, it's going to
Yeah.
be very warm. We're expecting between 24 and 32 degrees Celsius. And so the temperature will match the McLaren efficient setups for this condition. So this will be a good race for Lando Norris. I expect Lando Norris to do very well here. Although he has a knack of being brilliant in qualifying and throwing it all away. And I think his teammate to Oscar Piastri will do really very well. And in terms of tire, I expect a mix of strategy. I don't think anything will stick to just one strategy. It will just be a
No,
mix of blend of the
I
two.
hear they're
And
going to go to some harder tires because
or
the
yeah,
track wears off the
possibly.
tires. They might have two mediums and one soft or something, but it's on a hard range. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
heard. I don't know.
yeah. But as for
Yeah, I
Max,
mean,
I think Max
Mhm.
continues to make the most of an inferior car. His extreme powers of adaptability, he's so brilliant at adapting to conditions, will come to the fore again in this race. And I expect
Yeah,
him to be among the top three.
yeah, and I expect him to keep it. And here's the only reason I think Max will drive all out because I think Max realizes that if you take 1 week off, you lose something. So Max, you will not see him say, "Well, I've already won the title. Let me relax now," because he doesn't want to ever get used to being relaxed. Although, if everybody saw the race, after the race, he had 4 beers and a whiskey, and I think that's the first time he drank all year. And they said, and he was drunk. They said, "Could you beat?" So we're going on to the next topic. They said, "Could you beat if you had McLaren's car? Would you have won this year?" Yes. They said if you had Ferrari's car, would you have won this year? Yes. They said if you had Mercedes, he said no. He's
But
telling the
because
truth.